Welcome everyone. I'm sorry it's been such a while since I did a review. It's because I've been rereading books lately and it took me a lot longer than I thought. So the sixth book and the final book in the Raine Benares series was released by Lisa Shearin, and for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to read the first 5 before I read the sixth, because it's been at least a year since I read the last book, and so much happens in the series with so many characters. Like, I needed to refresh my memory, but it took me a lot longer to read the 5 than I thought. I was enjoying reading the first 3, and then by the time I got to the 4th, I was like, oh my god, I wish I could just like jump to the 6th, but I was like, no, I won't, I'll read them. So I was really fed up by the 4th. But then again, I enjoy the 5th, and throughout as well I was kind of skipping some parts because a lot of it is kind of repetition. And then finally I got to the 6th and I read it in a few hours yesterday. And so this review is on the 6th book, but I'll also kind of chat about the other 5. But yeah, so if you stumble into this review and you haven't read the series before, I suggest you don't watch this one, but you watch the link to the review I did on books 1 to 5. Okay, so this series, it's unique and fantasy based. The author built up quite an array of characters, and with each book she collects more and more. And the problem, I think, is that the author, she never gets rid of any characters. She just keeps adding more. And that's one of the negatives, because even second time reading it, I was a bit more knowledgeable about who's who, and I could keep up a little bit more, but at times I still got confused because there's about 5 nemesis in Raine's world, and they kind of build up, and there's so many of them, and I start to forget who was elves and who was goblins after a while. That was one of the negatives, just keeping up with that. And the other negative is lots of repetition. I think 20% of like the 6th book was just repeating what was in previous books, which can get quite irritating. Like, I had to skip lots of pages because it was just stuff I already knew, and it was just dragging the story down, slowing the pace. And Raine likes to go over things a lot in her head, which sometimes can just confuse you more. Even the last book, new characters were brought in. The problem with having a series with so many characters is that the author can't fit in every single character into all the books. So then I assume some fans are like disappointed, because like in the 6th book there was no Rach, her fiance from the 5th book, ex-fiance from the 5th book, and I was interested in that character, and I thought we might see a little bit more, but we didn't. There was no Rach, there was no Phelan, and there was no Vigard in this book, in the 6th book, which I liked all those characters, so that was a little bit of a pity. But we get to meet Tam's family and his old teacher, and there's a couple of new characters as well. So the 6th book, it was good, and in some parts it was very good, but I wouldn't consider it brilliant. Namely because I felt the author could have gone a lot darker, or added more danger to it. I felt it was all bark and no bite, because it was just constant descriptions and explanations of what could happen and threats. There was more talk of the horrors to be than there were actual horrors in this book, and then kind of in the series. Like, the amount of descriptions Raine received about what was going to happen to her by the bad guys, and nothing happened to her. So that kind of bugged me a little bit towards the end, because the author wasn't really doing much. Like, they were talking a lot, and the bad guy would like reveal his whole life while talking to Raine, which is one of those cheesy villain things. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping for more danger, and all the characters are in danger, but not much happens to them. They're quite lucky, like statistically impossible lucky. But this author, she does have funny, witty writing, and Raine can be great sometimes, like her observations and her sarcastic kind of banter and descriptions of things. And the stories are really fascinating and interesting. In the 6th one, I do think it built and it got really thrilling, and it ended in a great climax. And finally we find out what was going to happen to Raine and the Sagrid and all of her friends and family. So it's nice that the series is finished. There's no real kind of things to you question, like, oh, we didn't find out about this. No, there's not. So that's nice. Everything was kind of resolved. And it's grand now the series is done. It's nice just to have to go back to one day and read all again. Yeah, I just like the idea of pirates and sword fights and magic. So like, it's not the most brilliant series, it's not perfect, but I do think the author put great work into it, and overall it's exciting. Okay, so now I'm going to do a bit of a spoiler review on the 6th book, and all spell breaks loose. I never saw that. So if you haven't read the book, I suggest you switch off now. Okay, so when I said that the author is all bark and no bite, and the fact that she collects so many characters and gets rid of no one, like, not one of Raine's loved ones die. And I know that's a good thing, because it would be so sad if one of them did die, but I feel like the author was too afraid to kill someone off. Like, sometimes it's really brave of an author to do that, and it's kind of necessary sometimes, because they're put in so many life or death situations that it's just an unrealistic occurrence that not one of them is fatally hurt. Yeah, well, they always come close, and Paris, for example, if that's how you pronounce his name, he's constantly in danger, which was one of my grievances with the series. But yeah, so not one of them dies. And even in the 6th book, the worst that happens to Raine is that her fingers get cut while she's attached to the Sagrid. That's about it. And I don't know, I was hoping for something more, something darker, more dangerous, as I said. The ending I felt was slightly cheesy, with Raine deciding to be a guardian. Yeah, girl power. Yeah, so it was slightly cheesy, but I do like Michael and Raine. I thought it was really sweet when he wanted to marry her, but she never really gave him an answer. I realised Raine snarls and growls a lot, which is very unattractive behaviour in a protagonist. It's like she's so quick to anger, and it can get quite annoying after a while. And yeah, all that growling and snarling isn't quite endearing. But there's a good bunch of characters in there, and the evil characters, you just really hate them. Like, the author does a good job of making you just despise them, like Carneades and Taltek Belmorman from the other books, and Sarah Nakpana. So yeah, I'm getting all the names now. The one character which the author never mentions is the character who got Raine into this big mess in the first place. Remember in the first book, the guy who was hired to steal the beacon to the Sagrid, and Raine tries to help him and takes it herself and tells him to be safe. And then she's stuck with the Sagrid, and all this thing happens to her. Not once is it ever mentioned, or Raine think, oh, if only I could get my hands on him, look what he made happen to me. Not once. I can't remember his name now, but I thought it was quite strange. And her godfather was never in it. Garden, yeah, he was mentioned on the 6th book. So yeah, I mean, I did wish the story went just that little bit further with the whole danger element, because a lot of them, like every single character, got out unscathed, which was I suppose good in one way but unrealistic in another. So yeah, that's that now. The Raine Benares series is finished. I don't know if a lot of people read that series actually, but yeah, so that's my review. I'd love to know what you think about the 6th book or the series as a whole. And yeah, so that's that. At the moment I'm reading the Graveyard Queen series. I started the first book and I'm really enjoying it so far. So that review should be coming soon. But and as always, if you have any recommendations or you'd like me to do a review on any other series, let me know. And thank you very much for watching.